Mic test. Okay, before we have our session, let me share with you from the first chapter of John. So the Word became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness. And we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son. John testified about him when he shouted to the crowds, "This is the one I was talking about when I said, 'Someone is coming after me who is far greater than I am, for he existed long before me.' From his abundance we have all received one gracious blessing after another. For the law was given through Moses, but God's unfailing love and faithfulness came through Jesus Christ." So let's honor God at this time. We praise you and honor you, O God. You are the one at work in our lives. Give us wisdom, provision, and strength. Take care of us and our loved ones. May we always follow after you because you're the one we should follow. All these we pray in Christ's name. Amen. So our topic today would be conditionals. The most usual construction of conditionals is if P, then Q. P is the antecedent and Q is the consequent. Sorry about that, class. So, if Clark is present, then Superman is absent. P, the antecedent. Clark is present. Q, the antecedent, the consequent. Superman is absent. Now, inverted construction is also acceptable. Q if P. Superman is absent if Clark is present. But then you have to remove the then. So then Superman is absent if Clark is present. That's ungrammatical. You have to remove the then. Okay. Now here are traditional categorizations of conditionals. Number one, future conditional. Number two, present conditional. Number three, past conditional. So let's talk about future conditional. Future conditional, if I have the money, I will go on a vacation. If I own a boat, I will sail every week. Now, it's ungrammatical to put will in the antecedent. If I will have the money, I will go on a vacation. That's incorrect. If I will own a boat, I will sail every week. That's incorrect also. So you need to remove the will. Okay. So again, if I will have the money, that's incorrect. You should say if I have the money. If I will own a boat, that's incorrect. Do not put will. Then we also have present conditional. Present conditional. Notice class in this conditional, the tense is past tense. If I had the money, I would go on a vacation. If I owned a boat, I would sail every week. Notice class, it's called present conditional, but the the what do you call this? The verb is past tense. So it's a little bit confusing. Now, this present conditional, because it's in the past tense, it signifies a present condition that is not true. Okay? If I had the money, I would go on a vacation. If I owned the boat, I would sail every week. The use of the past tense signifies that the present condition is not true. Okay, let's talk about past conditional. If I had possessed the money, I would have taken a vacation. If I had owned a boat, I would have sailed every week. Notice that in the past conditional, you use the present perfect. You have here had plus the past participle of the verb. Okay, that's a past conditional. So when we talk about tenses in conditionals based on traditional categorization, for future conditional, use present tense in if clause. For present conditional, use past tense in if clause. For past conditional, use past perfect tense in if clause. So that's a little bit confusing. So let me take some time for you to take it all in. Again, let me take some time for you to take it all in. Okay. Now, traditional categorization considers future conditional as being real or possible. Present conditional and past conditional are considered unreal or impossible. If I had the money, I would go on vacation. That's unreal. If I owned a boat, that's unreal. I would sail every week. If I had possessed the money, that's unreal. That's impossible. If I had owned a boat, that's unreal or impossible. So again, for present conditional and past conditional, they are considered unreal or impossible. The only real or possible would be future conditional. Now, class, this is traditional categorization. Okay, this is traditional categorization. Here's another example. If you know me, then you will know my father too. That's real or possible. Unreal, if you knew me, you would know my father too. If you had known me, that's past conditional, you would have known my father too. Okay, so again, class, this is traditional categorization. Now, Cells Semurcia and Larsen Freeman assert dapat yan. Let me fix that. Assert. Cells Semurcia and Larsen Freeman assert that the traditional categorization of conditionals is faulty and insufficient. Okay, so according to Celsius and Larsen Freeman, they are authors of the grammar book. They say it's faulty and insufficient. So later on, we will discuss their categorization. But for now, we will discuss some characteristics of conditionals, like if I were versus if I was. If I were versus if I was. If I were class is more formal than if I was. Again, if I were, that's more formal than if I was. Okay, so here's more formal. If I were in London, I would get cold. Less formal. If I was in London, I would get cold. Again, more formal. If more formal, if I were in London, I would get cold. Less formal. If I was in London, I would get cold. Let's also talk about subject and operator inversion in conditionals. Some conditionals with should, had, or were can be inverted when if is removed. Again, some conditionals with should, had, or were can be inverted when if is removed. So, for example, some conditionals with should can be inverted when if is removed. If a man should decide to follow me, he will know the truth. Now you can invert that to should a man decide to follow me, he will know the truth. Okay, should a man decide to follow me, he will know the truth. So some conditionals with should can be inverted when if is removed. Okay? Now in the chat box, type a conditional that starts with should. In the chat box, type a conditional that starts with should. Should you overcook the pasta, it will turn mushy. Should you be mine, you would experience true love. Should you have any questions, kindly message me. Should you need any help, just ask me. Should you wish to attend the concert, please inform our officers. Janela, you need to change that a little bit. Should you turn off the speakers, it will lessen the background noise. Should I go to play tomorrow? That's different, Angela. You're not doing you're not doing a conditional. You're asking yourself a question. Should you visit my mother, kindly inform me beforehand. Should any of you misbehave, expect to be punished. Should you wish to cancel the event, please contact me. Should you wish to cancel the event, please contact me. To cancel the event, please contact me. Okay? Should they want to be happy, come with us. Should you decide to attend the event in Laguna, please let me know. Should you remember me, please send a letter to my home address. Now, some conditionals, we're finished with should. We're now into had. We're now into had. Some conditionals with had can be inverted when if is removed. If Julian had taken a taxi, he would have arrived earlier. Had Julian taken a taxi, he would have arrived earlier. Okay? So, if Julian had taken a taxi, he would have arrived earlier. Had Julian taken a taxi, he would have arrived earlier. Okay? There's the he would have. So, in the chat box, type a conditional that starts with had. Okay. Had I known about his sickness, I would have excused him from the class. Had Zarina studied weeks before, she would have passed the exam. Had I not taken the taxi, I would have been late for the show. Had the report been submitted on time, we could have proceeded with the project without delay. Had you watched the show, we would have something to talk about together. Okay? We would have had something to talk about together. Had you eaten your breakfast, you would be full by now. Had I known about the meeting, I would have attended. Had Kamaldang not talked, she wouldn't have always washed the dishes. Have made it on time before the meeting started. Had they prepared properly, they would have performed much better. Had I arrived earlier, I would have caught the train. Had I gotten the announcement earlier, I shouldn't left so early. Had I known you were waiting for me, I would have come early. Had Philip set an alarm, he wouldn't have been late. Had she done her homework, she wouldn't be cramming now. Okay? You replace were and I. You inverted were and I, and you remove if. So first remove if, and then replace the subject and the verb or operator. So I verb becomes were I. Were I in his shoes, I would ask for a raise. So in the chat box, type a conditional that starts with were. Were I in his shoes, I would ask for a raise. So in the conditional, in the chat box, type a conditional that starts with were. So in the chat box, type a conditional that starts with were. Were. Were the company to implement the strategy, it would significantly enhance operational efficiency and long term profitability. Were it to rain, the lesson for today would be cancelled. Okay. Were I a cat, I would sleep all day. Were the train on time, we wouldn't have to rush. Were I, were I, ito maganda to, was dapat. Ay, tanggalin mo na pala yung am. Ram Mabini. You don't need to put am there. Were I in the situation, I would just leave. Were I in the situation, I would just leave. Ganon din, Zarina, you should remove the was. Were I with my mom, sorry pala, iba pala yung kay Zarina. Hindi pala with, tama pala yung kay Zarina. Where I was my mom, I would have continued my dream. Correct. Where I mistakenly understood you, I would like to apologize for it. Were I chosen as the speaker, I would accept. Okay, thank you, Nicole. This is correct. Had I admitted my feelings early, he would have been mine. Okay. Now here's another characteristic of conditionals. Conditionals that start with when assume that the condition will happen. Okay. When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the attendance is called up yonder, again, uh, conditionals that start with when assume that the condition will happen. Okay, magandang tanong kay Michael. Is it correct kung may to be, if I were to be his father, I would have beaten some sense to him. Now, that would have been correct, Michael, but the consequent was the consequent should be future. Were I to be his translate to English translate. So, okay. So, please translate the following into English. Kung alam ko lang na may iba ka palang minamahal, di na sana ako naghintay sa iyo ng ganun katagal. Please translate it into English. Had I known you had someone else, I would not have waited for you that long. The internet guys are here. Sir, ano po nangyari sa internet? Ano, internet yan?
Opo, bali ito yung pinag-usapan pa namin dati na nagpapa-outsource tayo sir para 5 year na yung gagamitin.
Ibig sabihin, hindi pala fiber ang ginagamit natin?
Actually, 5 year sir, meron tayong 5 year sir, nasa second floor. Tapos naka-series lang po ito sir for UPPT.
Ah,
So gusto namin sir, 5 year na siya para nakadirekta sa data center natin.
so tayo, itong room na to hindi naka-fiber.
Hindi po sir.
Pero ifa-fiber na.
Di pa 5 year lang.
Sige, sige. Sige. Kaya pala ito, naglalag nga ako ngayon eh.
Pero
Ayun.
meron naman po kayo wifi.
Sige, sige. Okay.
Sir,
Had I known you had someone else, I would not have waited for you that long. Had I known you loved another woman, I wouldn't have waited so long. Had I known that you were loving someone else, I wouldn't have waited for you for so long. Had I known you loved someone else, I wouldn't have longed for you. If I only knew that you loved someone else, I wouldn't have waited for you that long. Had I known that you loved someone else, I wouldn't have waited that long. Had I known that you have affection on someone else, I wouldn't have waited this long. Had I known you had someone, I wouldn't have waited for you that long. Sorry, Zarina. Dito sa PNO kasi umulan eh. Kaya yun, ganito yung nangyari. If only I had known that you loved someone else, I wouldn't have waited for you that long. Had I known you loved someone else, I wouldn't have waited for you that long. Had I known you loved someone else, I wouldn't have waited for you so long. I don't know how had I known that you loved someone else, I wouldn't have waited for you this long. Okay. So medyo na malakas pala ang dating sa inyo. Hindi ko na itutuloy yung ano. Sige, tuloy na natin to. Kung tayo'y matanda na, sana hindi tayo magbago. Translate the following into English. Kung tayo'y matanda na, sana hindi tayo magbago. So translate into English. If we grow old together, I hope we never change. May hinihintay akong sagot, class. Ayan, Hana, medyo okay yan. When we are old, yan, Jasmine, ganyan. When? Ano? Ferilyn, were we to grow old, hindi masyadong sigurado yan, ano? Okay, if we grow old, maybe remain the same. So Zarina, medyo ano rin yan, medyo hindi sure. Kasi were. Should we become old together? I hope we will change. When we grow old, I hope we don't change. So pinaka-simple, Lucille. Thank you. When we are old, I hope we don't change. That's also acceptable, Eliza. Yung mga gumamit ng should, medyo okay pa rin yan. Yung were we to grow older, medyo hindi sure siya. So mas sure yung when you use when. Okay? Huwag na isama yan. Huwag na rin isama. Mahaba na ito. Let's now go to if, could, then. If, could, then. Could inside an antecedent signals an impossible situation. Could inside an antecedent signals an impossible situation. Okay? Again, could inside an antecedent signals an impossible situation. If I could change the way of the world, I'd be your girl. If I could change the way of the world, I'd be your girl. So pag kami could, if you have could inside the antecedent, it signals an impossible situation, especially when accompanied by the word only. Especially when it's accompanied by the word only. If only I could turn back time, I would decide otherwise. If only I could turn back time. So, could inside an antecedent signals an impossible situation, especially if you have the word only. Okay? So, type a sentence in the chat box with if only blank could. So, type a sentence in the chat box with if only I could. Lagyan natin ng I could. Gawin natin I could. If only I could. Thank you, Jimwell. If only I could be. Parang kanta yan na. If only I could take away your pain. If only I could love you. If only I could make this world. Could I? If only I could, I'd make this world a better place. That's great, Isabel. If only I could protect you. If only I could do something to save her that night. If only I could change how the world works, we wouldn't be crucified for loving one another. If only I could turn back time. Okay, Janela, ang galing mong kumopya. Joke lang. Joan Jett, if only I could teleport, I wouldn't have to waste so much time and money and time on transportation. If only I could hug you one more time, I would cherish it with all my heart. If only I could bring back the memories we shared. If only I could see you one more time, I'd tell you how much you mean to me. If only I could slow down the time. If only I could make you admit it's more than casual, maybe I wouldn't feel like a stranger in your arms. If only I could, I would. Okay. If only I could meet Duterte's wife, I would give her a new phone. Akin na lang yung phone mo, huwag mo na ibigay sa kanya. If only I could eat vegetables, bakit naman hindi? If only I could confess my feelings to you, I would suffer seeing you happy with someone else. If only I could confess, wala na nung be, ano? If only I could find a way to who I'm meant to be. If only I could know what you're thinking. If only I could be a dinosaur, I would be a good one. If only I could teleport, I would travel by your side. Okay, thank you. Now let's talk about conditional proforms. These are still characteristics of English conditionals. So one characteristic, okay, conditional proforms are words, phrases, or other structures that substitute for others. Okay, proforms again. Proforms Proforms are words, phrases, or other structures that substitute for others. Okay, and here are examples. So and not are examples of proforms in conditionals. So and not can serve as proforms in conditionals. Okay, notice how so replaces a long expression in the following. Do you want a man who will love you forever, bear with your mood swings, tolerate your idiosyncrasies, and patiently accept all your flaws? If so, marry me. Do you want a man who will love you forever, bear with your mood swings, tolerate your idiosyncrasies, and patiently accept all your flaws? If so, marry me. So here replaces the very long expression. You want a man who will love you forever, bear with your mood swings, tolerate your idiosyncrasies, and patiently accept all your flaws. Now, if we have so, we also have not. Not is the way of expressing the negative. For example, are you willing to spend most of your day filling your washing machine with water, washing with soap, rinsing, draining the water, putting in new water, rinsing the laundry, and all the other difficult and repetitive stuff for washing your clothes? If not, then get our fully automatic washing machine. Okay? So notice here that you are negating the entire long text. Okay, these are what we call conditional proforms. So for positive, not for negative. Now, as we said before, Celsa Murcia and Larson Freeman asserted or asserts that the traditional categorization of conditionals is faulty and insufficient. That's why they have their own categorization of types of conditionals. And we will discuss this next meeting. Okay? Uh, Let me see the attendance form. The attendance form I will share with you. There you go. So the comment is just optional. The comment is just optional. I rescheduled the SVA quiz. Kailan ba nilagay yung SVA quiz? Kailan ba nakalagay yun? Let me see. 2, 3. 2, 3. SVA. 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 Kailan ko sinabi yan? Wala pa pala. I'll give you tonight for the SVA. Okay? Okay, class. So I'll give you tonight for the SVA. Mamayang gabi na lang yung SVA. And then, if you have no more questions, then thank you very much. You are dismissed.